The rain never stopped on Port Zara, a small industrial colony at the edge of the Zarkonian front. It was the kind of world where people hurried through the streets with their collars up, ignoring everything that wasn't their problem. Junk ships floated above the skyline, neon signs flickered, and the smell of rust hung in the air like smoke. Min-jun and Jung-hoon Kim were human brothers who worked at a small repair dock near the spaceport. They were not rich, but they had each other in a tiny apartment above the workshop. Min-jun, the older one, was calm and serious. Jung-hoon, only 20, was louder, quicker to laugh, and always getting into trouble. The two brothers had lived here since the Terran evacuation war. They fixed engines and old drone ships for anyone who could pay. One rainy evening, while returning from the scrapyard, Jung-hoon spotted a small figure sitting against a wall in a narrow back alley between a noodle stall and a supply shop. At first, he thought it was a child wearing a broken oxygen mask, but when he got closer, he saw faint blue markings under her skin glowing softly like cracked glass. "Hyung, look," Jung-hoon called. "It's a Zarkonian kid." Min-jun frowned. Zarkonians were aliens from a nearby system, tall, elegant, usually proud. But this one looked small, frail, her silver hair matted with rain. She was shaking badly, wrapped in a torn blanket. The oxygen mask hissed with every breath. People walked by without even looking. A merchant pushed a cart past them and muttered, "Careful. That thing's infected." The Zarkonians brought the fever again. Min-jun felt his stomach twist. He had heard about the Zarkon plague, a strange illness that spread through the refugee quarters. But seeing a child left to die like that, it felt wrong. Jung-hoon knelt beside her. "Hey, kid, can you hear me?" The girl's eyes opened halfway. They were bright amber, like molten metal. She tried to speak, but only a thin rasp came out. "Help, please." Min-jun glanced around. "If someone sees us, we'll get blamed," he warned. "The inspectors are strict. No license to treat aliens." But Jung-hoon didn't move. He pulled off his own jacket and wrapped it around the child. "And we don't tell anyone," he said. "We just help her." The girl's breathing slowed a little under the jacket's warmth. Min-jun sighed, realizing there was no way he could say no to his brother when he made that face, the one full of stubborn kindness. "Fine," he said at last. "But we move fast." Together, they lifted the small Zarkonian girl. She weighed almost nothing. Her skin was hot to the touch, and thin blue lines of light traced under her veins, like circuits shorting out. They brought her through the back door of their workshop. The smell of oil and ozone filled the room. Sarah, their human neighbor who sometimes brought them food, was working on a hoverbike near the corner. She looked up, eyes wide. "What in the stars is that?" "A kid," Jung-hoon said. "She's sick." Sarah stood up. "If the patrol finds her here, they'll shut this place down. You know how they treat aliens since the plague." "Then we hide her," Min-jun said firmly. They laid the child on an old cot near the wall. Sarah hesitated, then fetched a towel and warm water. She cleaned the girl's face gently. "Poor thing," she whispered. "She can't be more than 8 or 9. Jung-hoon tried to adjust the oxygen mask, but it was cracked. "She needs a new filter," he muttered. "I can try to make one from our spare parts." Min-jun checked the child's temperature with a handheld scanner. The reading flashed red. "Her body is burning. Whatever this sickness is, it's not human." Sarah found a small locket tied around the girl's neck. Inside, etched in delicate script, were 2 words in Zarkonian letters. "Chun-zex," she read softly. "Is that her name?" The girl stirred weakly, whispering the same name, Zex, before falling back into fevered sleep. For the next few hours, the brothers worked silently. Jung-hoon soldered tiny filters while Min-jun rewired an old medical mask. Sarah kept the child's head cool. The rain outside grew heavier, pounding the metal roof dock when they finally attached the new mask. The girl's breathing steadied. Her skin's glow faded to a soft shimmer. Jung-hoon smiled with relief. See? She's tough. She make it. Min-jun didn't answer right away. He looked at the child, at her strange beauty, her trembling hands. You realize, he said quietly, if anyone finds out we're harboring a Zarkonian, we could be deported. Jung-hoon shrugged. Then we keep her secret. Until she's better. Sarah crossed her arms, shaking her head. You too are crazy. But maybe the galaxy needs a little more crazy like that. The workshop fell silent, except for the hum of the power coils. A small alien girl slept peacefully for the first time in days. Outside, lightning flickered across the port, and the brothers stood watch beside her. Neither of them knew that. Helping one sick child would pull them into something far bigger than they ever imagined, something that would test what it truly meant to be human. The storm outside lasted through the night, and by morning, the metal streets of Port Zara shone with puddles that reflected the dull neon lights. Inside the Kim brothers' workshop, the air smelled like engine oil and warm soup. Jung-hoon had been awake for hours, taking turns with Sarah to keep the child cool. Min-jun returned from the lower market, carrying a small bag of medicine and a few ration packs. She's still sleeping? He asked quietly. Sarah nodded. Her temperature's down, but she keeps whispering something. The name Zircon. Maybe it's her family. Min-jun sighed and set down the bag. Let's hope her people come looking for her before someone else does. The moment he said that, the girl stirred. Her amber eyes flickered open, glowing faintly in the dim light. She blinked at them in confusion, then struggled to sit up. Easy, Jung-hoon said gently. You're safe here. The girl's breathing was slow through the mask. Where is this? She asked, her voice soft and melodic but weak. You're in our workshop, Min-jun said. I'm Min-jun. That's my brother Jung-hoon, and this is Sarah. We found you outside last night. The child looked around nervously, her thin fingers gripping the blanket. You shouldn't have helped me, she whispered. Humans get punished for keeping my kind. Jung-hoon grinned. Then it's a good thing we don't always follow rules. For the first time, a small, frightened smile appeared on her lips. She tried to bow her head politely, but swayed with weakness. Sarah steadied her. What's your name, sweetheart? The girl hesitated. Zex. My name is Zex Chun. Nice to meet you, Zex, Sarah said kindly. You were very sick. Zex glanced at her hands. The faint blue lines under her skin pulsed with soft light. It's not a sickness, she said quietly. It's a curse. Min-jun frowned. What do you mean? Zex looked toward the window where the rain blurred the lights of the spaceport. Zarkonian children born after the war. Some of us carry something inside. A spark that should have been gone long ago. The council calls it energy sickness. It spreads fear, not death. She touched her chest lightly. They say we are dangerous. But I never hurt anyone. Jung-hoon crouched beside her. So that's why everyone avoids you. She nodded. My parents hid me, but soldiers came. They took everyone from our district. I ran. I've been hiding for days. Min-jun exchanged a worried look with Sarah. Harboring a Zarkonian refugee with unstable energy patterns could bring the inspectors any minute. Yet looking at the girl's trembling hands, he felt his resolve harden. You're staying here, he said firmly. No one's taking you. Zex's eyes widened. But you don't even know me. Don't have to, Jung-hoon said with a shrug. You're a kid. That's enough. Sarah smiled faintly. These two are stubborn. Better get used to it. For the rest of the morning, they kept Zex comfortable while pretending everything was normal. Customers came and went in the front of the workshop, and Min-jun handled them while Jung-hoon stayed in the back room. Every knock on the door made Sarah tense. By evening, Zex could stand with help. She wandered to the window, looking out at the endless flow of people below. "So many humans," she murmured. "You don't fear the rain." Jung-hoon laughed. "We fear losing our pay more than rain." She smiled again, small, shy, but real this time. "You're different," she said softly. "Most humans shout at us. Call us plague-born." Min-jun handed her a bowl of soup. "Not all humans are the same. Some still remember what it means to help." As they ate together, thunder rolled outside. Then the power flickered, and the workshop lights dimmed to red emergency glow. Sarah cursed under her breath. "That's not the storm. That's a grid scan." Min-jun's expression darkened. "Patrols sweeping the block. They're checking for unauthorized energy signatures." Zex froze. The faint blue lines on her arms began to glow brighter. "They'll find me," she whispered in panic. "They can feel my energy." "Calm down," Jung-hoon said quickly. "We'll hide you." But Min-jun already moved. He dragged open a metal hatch under the tool bench. "Get in," he ordered. "This leads to the coolant duct. The sensors can't read through the shielding." Zex hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. "If they catch you, go," he said sharply. Sarah helped the girl crawl inside, covering the hatch with an old crate. Moments later, bright lights shone through the front windows as two inspectors in gray armor entered. "Inspection," one marked. Energy readings spiked in this sector. Min-jun forced a calm smile. "We're testing a plasma engine prototype. Old parts spark sometimes." The inspector scanned the room with a handheld sensor. The beam swept over the floor, the walls, the table, and lingered near the hidden hatch. Jung-hoon held his breath. Sarah faked a cough to distract them. "You want tea, officer?" The inspector grunted and shut off the scanner. "Just keep your junk stable. One more spike and we'll shut you down." When they finally left, Jung-hoon exhaled loudly. That was close. Sarah lifted the crate and opened the hatch. Zex climbed out, shaking. "You risked everything for me again." Min-jun placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "We said we'd keep you safe." "That's a promise." Outside, the patrol drones faded into the distance. The storm was easing, but a strange tension hung in the air. Zex looked up at the brothers, her amber eyes bright. "Then I'll help you too," she said softly. "Because the people who chase me, they won't stop." Min-jun frowned. "Who are they?" Zex's voice trembled. "Not soldiers. Zircon collectors. They take children like me to use our power." And in that quiet workshop, as the rain finally slowed, the brothers realized this was no ordinary rescue. It was the start of a war they didn't even know existed. The next morning dawned gray and heavy, the storm clouds hanging low over Port Zara's skyline. The brothers didn't sleep much. Every sound outside the workshop made them tense, afraid the collectors might appear at any moment. Min-jun stood by the window, watching patrol drones glide through the mist. "We can't keep her here forever," he said quietly. "The inspectors will return. Next time, they'll bring sniffers." Jung-hoon tightened the bolt on the plasma coupler he'd been pretending to fix. "So what do you suggest? Throw her out?" "Of course not," Min-jun replied. "But maybe there's somewhere safer. Maybe Sarah knows someone who can help." Sarah entered then, holding a datapad. Her eyes were tired, but determined. "I've been looking into those energy readings," she said. "The signal pattern from last night wasn't random. It matched a pulse broadcast frequency from a Zarkonian beacon. Zex, sitting on a crate with a blanket around her shoulders, looked up sharply. A beacon? Sarah nodded. It wasn't the patrol that found us first. Someone else pinged your energy signature. Zex's eyes widened. Then they're coming. Jung-hoon frowned. Who exactly are these collectors? Zex hesitated, glancing between them. Her hands trembled slightly, faint blue light pulsing under the skin. The collectors were once healers, she said slowly. Long ago, Zarkonians learned to control the living energy that flows through all life. But when the wars began, some twisted that gift. They found ways to drain it from people like me. Min Jun crossed his arms. So they're using children as batteries. Zex nodded. They call it purification. I call it death. Silence filled the room, except for the soft hum of the workshop generators. Sarah broke it first. Then we need to get you off-world. Impossible, Minjun said. Ports are under scanner lockdown. Any ship leaving is checked for energy anomalies. Jung-hoon leaned forward, eyes bright with mischief. What if she hides inside one? Min Jun blinked. Inside a ship engine? Not inside the engine, Jung-hoon said, grinning. Inside the shield core casing of a freighter. I know a pilot SAO Yeon. She smuggles parts for the resistance. She owes me a favor. Sarah gave him a doubtful look. That's suicide? Maybe, he said, but better than waiting here. Before anyone could argue more, the power flickered again. This time, it wasn't just a grid surge, the entire block went dark. Outside, engines roared, and bright blue lights cut through the mist. Zex stiffened. They found me. Through the cracked window. They saw black-armored figures descending from hovercraft tall Zarkonians in silver masks, carrying staff-like weapons glowing with the same blue light that ran under Zex's skin. Collectors, Min Jun muttered. Sarah, hide her now. Jung-hoon grabbed a wrench the size of his arm. Finally, some action. Don't be stupid. Min Jun snapped. They're trained hunters. But the younger brother only smirked. Then let's show them what humans can do. Sarah pulled Zex behind the workbench. The girl's glow was getting stronger, reacting to the energy outside. They'll sense me, she whispered. Min Jun crouched beside her. Then you have to learn to control it. Can you do that? She shook her head. I never learned how. Then try. Focus on your breathing. Pretend you're hiding your heartbeat. Outside, boots hit the puddled street. The metal door rattled as one of the collectors shouted, By order of the Zarkonian Council, open this facility. Jung-hoon whispered to his brother. When they step inside, hit the breaker. The door burst open. 3 collectors entered, their masks gleaming under the flickering emergency light. One raised his staff. You harbor contaminated life. Stand aside. Jung-hoon flipped the breaker switch. Sparks exploded from the ceiling as the power surged through the room. The nearest collector's armor shorted out with a flash. Min Jun swung an iron pipe, hitting another across the chest plate. Sarah threw a smoke canister she'd kept from her mining days. The workshop filled with gray haze. Zex now? Min Jun shouted. But Zex wasn't hiding anymore. She stood in the middle of the room, trembling, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. Blue light spread from her skin, illuminating the smoke like fireflies. The remaining collector aimed his weapon at her. Stop! She cried. The air pulsed. A wave of invisible force burst outward, throwing the collector through the wall and into the rain-soaked street. The brothers shielded their faces as tools and machines clattered around them. When the light faded, Zex collapsed. Jung-hoon rushed to her side. Hey, kid, stay with us. Her small hand glowed faintly as she clutched his sleeve. I didn't mean to. It's okay, Min Jun said quickly. You did good. You saved us. Sarah peered through the broken door. More of them will come. The whole district probably saw that blast. Min-jun grabbed a backpack and stuffed tools, medkits, and ration bars inside. We move now. Seo-yin's dock is in the lower sector, right? Jung-hoon nodded, still helping Zex to her feet. Pier 9. She keeps an old cargo hauler there. Then that's our way out, Min-jun said. Ce. X looked up at him weakly. Why are you helping me? I'm not even your kind. He met her gaze with quiet resolve. Because kindness isn't about kind. It's about choice. Outside, alarms wailed across Port Zara. Drones streaked through the rain as the brothers led Zex and Sarah into the maze of back alleys. The glow from Zex's skin shimmered faintly beneath her blanket, like a secret star struggling to stay alive. And as they vanished into the night, none of them knew the signal that had drawn the collectors was still pulsing, broadcasting their location to something even worse. The lower sectors of Port Zara never slept. Steam hissed from vents, neon signs blinked through the mist, and the air was thick with the smell of oil and burning metal. Min-jun led the way down narrow alleys, keeping his hood up. Behind him, Jung-hoon supported Zex, who was pale and shaking from exhaustion. Sarah followed, checking every corner for patrol drones. They had walked for nearly an hour when they reached Dock 9, a forgotten landing strip under the old freight tunnels. Cargo haulers rested in pools of shadow, their hulls scarred and silent. Min-jun glanced around and whispered, Seo-yan should be here. A low whistle came from the darkness. A tall woman stepped out, her jacket covered in ship grease and her long hair tied back. Min-jun Kim, she said with a grin. Didn't expect you to crawl out of your workshop at this hour. What's the job? No job, Min-jun said quietly. We need passage off-world. Urgently. Seo-yan raised an eyebrow. That's not like you. You always play by the book. This time the book's on fire, Jung-hoon muttered. He pulled the blanket aside, just enough to reveal Zex's faintly glowing hand. Seo-yan's smile faded. A Zarkonian child? You're insane. The collectors are tearing through the district, looking for one. That's why we need your help, Sarah said firmly. She's not infected. She's something else. Seo-yan looked at Zex, then at Min-jun. And you want me to smuggle her through scanner lockdown? Do you have any idea what the bounty is for hiding one of them? Min-jun met her eyes. Enough to make every coward turn her in. But I'm betting you're not one of them. For a moment, Seo-yan said nothing. Then she sighed. Follow me. They crossed the dock to an old cargo ship named the Crescent Star, its hull patched with mismatched plates. She's slow but invisible, Seo-yan said, tapping the side. Her heat signature's masked. We can hide her inside the coolant chamber if we keep the power low. Inside, the ship smelled like rust and recycled air. Zex sat on a crate while Jung-hoon adjusted the straps on his pack. You okay, kid? He asked. She nodded weakly. I can control the light better now. It listens to my heartbeat. That's good, he said softly. Keep it that way until we're in orbit. Seo-yan disappeared into the cockpit to prepare the engines. Sarah checked the cargo hold, finding space between metal crates for them to hide. Everything seemed ready. For the first time in days, Min-jun allowed himself a small breath of relief. But then he noticed something stranger, blinking light on a control panel near the ramp. Seo-yan, he called. Why is your comms array active? No answer. Jung-hoon frowned and moved toward the cockpit. Hyung, something's wrong. Before he could reach the door, it slid open on its own. 2 armored collectors stepped inside, staffs crackling with blue energy. Seo-yan stood behind him, eyes full of guilt. I'm sorry, she said softly. They found me first. I didn't have a choice. Jung Hoon's face hardened. You sold us out. They promised no one would be hurt if I cooperated, she said. I just wanted my crew released. The taller collector pointed his staff toward Zex. Hand her over. The child carries unstable energy. She belongs to the council. Min Jun stepped in front of Zex. You'll have to go through me. The collector tilted his head. A human protecting Zarkonian filth. Curious. Before Min Jun could move, Jung Hoon swung a wrench at the second collector. The weapon deflected the blow easily, sending sparks flying. Sarah grabbed a cargo torch and ignited it, flame roaring in the air. Back off. She shouted. Zex stood trembling, her glow brightening again. Stop fighting, she begged. If I go with them, they'll leave you alone. Min Jun shook his head. No one's taking you. The collector advanced, energy humming louder. Then you will all die here. Suddenly, the ship trembled. Jung Hoon had hit the emergency power relay. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and the ship's engines roared to life. Sarah, get her out. Min Jun yelled. Sarah pulled Zex toward the loading ramp, but the taller collector raised his staff and fired a burst of energy. The beam hit the wall beside them, scattering molten metal. Zex screamed, and the pulse of blue light exploded outward again, but this time she didn't faint. She controlled it. The shock wave threw both collectors backward into the cargo crates. Iseo Yeon ducked for cover, shouting in panic. Jung Hoon's ears rang as the ship's hull groaned. Hyung, we have to go. Min Jun grabbed Seo Yan's arm. You're coming too. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I can stall them. Get her out. Before he could protest, she slammed the emergency ramp button. The platform lowered into the rain, and Min Jun pulled Zex and Jung Hoon out as the crescent star filled with smoke. Sarah followed close behind. They ran through the dock tunnels as sirens blared and gunfire echoed behind them. Zex's glow flickered weakly, lighting the wet walls ahead. Where now? Jung Hoon shouted. Min Jun stopped at a maintenance shaft and pried it open. The under rails. A lead to the old transit tunnels. If we reach Sector Delta, we can lose them. Sarah looked back once. The crescent star burned silently behind them, a bright wound in the fog. Seo Yeon was gone. Zex clutched Min Jun's sleeve. She betrayed you, yet you still tried to save her. He nodded grimly. Because once you stop trying, you become like them. And as they descended into the dark tunnels below the city, the sound of thunder mixed with the echo of pursuit. Somewhere above, the collectors regrouped, following the trail of faint blue light that led ever deeper underground. The tunnels beneath Port Zara were cold and endless. Rusted pipes dripped from the ceiling, and the air smelled of dust and ozone. The brothers moved quickly, guided only by the faint blue light from Zex's hands. Sarah followed close behind, her clothes torn, her face streaked with soot. Every distant echo sounded like footsteps. We can't keep running, Min Jun said finally. They'll track her energy again. Zex leaned against the wall, trembling. I'm sorry. My power calls to them. I don't know how to stop it. Jung Hoon crouched beside her, offering a flask of water. Don't apologize. You didn't choose this. Sarah scanned a cracked map screen on her wrist. There's an old maintenance hub 2 kilometers ahead. It connects to the mag rail. If we reach it, we can maybe hijack a supply train out of the city. Min Jun nodded. Then that's our way out. Stay close. They walked for another half hour through the dark. Water dripped in slow rhythm from the pipes. Zex's small footsteps echoed softly. For the first time, she spoke quietly. Back home, before the sickness came, my mother said humans were monsters. She said you started the wars. Jung Hoon smiled faintly. Maybe she's right. We've done some bad things. But monsters don't make soup for strangers. Zex tilted her head, confused, then giggled. It was the first sound of laughter they had heard from her. Light and pure like the flicker of her glow. They reached the maintenance hub, a wide chamber filled with broken machinery and an old mag rail track that glimmered under their lights. Min-Jun checked the control panel. Still powered, he said. If I reroute this node, I can start one of the old cargo trains. Good, Jung-hoon said. Let's move before. A metallic clang echoed through the tunnel behind them. Everyone froze. Sarah whispered. They found us. Out of the darkness, shapes appeared 5 collectors, their silver masks shining in the tunnel's faint light. The leader stepped forward, staff humming. You cannot run from what you are, little one. The energy inside you belongs to the Zirconian core. Zex hid behind Min-Jun, shaking. They'll drain me, she whispered. Min-Jun looked at Jung-hoon. His brother nodded silently. They had no weapons that could match energy staffs, but they had tools, courage, and something stronger, the will to protect. Sarah, Min-Jun said calmly. Get her on that train. Whatever happens, don't stop. Sarah grabbed Zex's hand and pulled her toward the platform. The collectors advanced. Jung-hoon swung a heavy wrench, hitting one across the helmet. Sparks flew, but the alien barely stumbled. Another collector raised his staff and fired a burst of blue lightning. Min-Jun shoved Jung-hoon aside, taking the hit on his shoulder. Pain seared through his body. He dropped to one knee but didn't fall. Jung-hoon shouted. I'm fine, Min-Jun growled through clenched teeth. Keep moving. Sarah activated the train controls. The old mag engine groaned to life, vibrating the whole chamber. Zex turned to her. I can't leave them. You have to. Sarah yelled. They did this for you. But Zex shook her head, tears streaking down her face. They showed me kindness when no one else would. I can't just run away. The collectors surrounded the brothers now. Pitiful humans, one sneered. You defend a broken species. Min-Jun spat blood. Maybe, but we defend what's right. The collector raised his staff again, but before he could strike, the tunnel filled with a blinding blue light. Zex floated slightly above the ground, her eyes glowing brighter than before. Her voice echoed like a song. Stop hurting them. Energy burst from her body in a wave that shook the tunnel walls. The collectors staggered back, armor cracking under the pressure. The light bent around Min-Jun and Jung-hoon, protecting them like a shield. Jung-hoon covered his eyes. Zex, you'll burn yourself out. She looked at him, smiling faintly. Not if you believe in me. The energy pulse grew stronger. The collectors' weapons shattered. Their armor plates peeled away like paper. One by one they fell, their lights extinguished. The entire chamber shuddered, dust raining from the ceiling. When the glow finally faded, Zex collapsed into Min-Jun's arms. The collectors were gone, only smoking armor remained. Zex, he whispered. Hey, stay with us. Her voice was weak but calm. It's quiet now. I don't feel the sickness anymore. Jung-hoon smiled through tears. That's because you beat it, kid. Sarah ran over as the train's engine hummed, ready to leave. We have to go before reinforcements come. They carried Zex aboard and sealed the doors. The mag train roared forward, shooting into the darkness of the old tunnel system. For a long time, no one spoke. The brothers sat beside Zex, who slept peacefully, her skin dimly glowing with soft light, not fever, but life. Min-Jun looked out the window at the passing lights. You know, he said quietly, we might never be able to go back. Jung-hoon leaned against the wall. Good. I was getting bored there anyway. Sarah laughed tiredly. You two are unbelievable. Zex stirred and opened her eyes. "Where are we going?" she asked softly. Minjun smiled. "Somewhere safe. Somewhere new." Zex reached out and took both brothers' hands. "Thank you," she whispered. "When I was alone, I thought all humans hated us. But now I know there's light in you too." The train raced into the rising dawn beyond the city's edge. The sky ahead was painted gold and blue. Behind them, Port Zara shrank into mist. They didn't know what waited in the stars, only that for once, a human promise had saved a life the galaxy had already thrown away. And as the light touched Zex's face, her glow blended with the morning sun. A quiet symbol of hope, the day humanity proved that compassion could outshine fear. 3 weeks after they escaped Port Zara, the cargo train finally reached the outer transport hub on the planet's northern ridge. The tunnels opened into sunlight for the first time in months, and the light hit them like a blessing. Jung-hoon squinted and stretched his arms toward the pale sky. "We made it," he whispered. Minjun climbed out after him, helping Sarah and Zex down from the last car. The air was cleaner here, thin and cold, but not poisoned by the factories. Beyond the ridge lay a valley filled with abandoned farms, and far away, the shimmer of a launch pad still stood among the hills. "We can't stay long," Sarah said, scanning the horizon. "Patrols will expand their search soon." Zex pulled her borrowed jacket tighter around her shoulders. Her glow had faded almost completely, hidden beneath her skin like a secret heartbeat. "Where will we go?" she asked quietly. Minjun looked toward the sky. "Off-world, if we can. But first, we rest." They found shelter in an old farmhouse. Broken windows let in streaks of sunlight, and wild grass grew through the cracks in the floor. Jung-hoon managed to get the heater running with spare parts. That night, they sat together by the weak flame, eating from ration packs and listening to the wind whistle through the walls. Zex watched the brothers in silence. "Humans always stay together," she said softly. "You fight, but you never leave." Jung-hoon chuckled. "It's called being family. You'll get used to it." She tilted her head. "Can I be family too?" Minjun smiled gently. "You already are." For the first time, Zex laughed without fear. The sound filled the empty house like music. The next morning, Sarah managed to power up a small beacon they'd salvaged from the wreck of the mag train. The signal was weak, but functional. "If I bounce this through the upper relay," she said, "we might reach a resistance frequency. They could send a ship." Jung-hoon frowned. "You trust them?" "They helped civilians before," Sarah replied. "They hate the collectors more than we do." Before she could finish tuning the signal, a faint static crackled through the speaker. Then a voice deep, calm, distinctly alien. "This is Commander Chun of the Free Zarkonian Fleet. Identify yourself." Zex's eyes widened. "Chun, that was my family name. He might know who I am." Minjun took the transmitter. "We're human civilians. We rescued a Zarkonian child. Code Zex Chun. She's safe for now, but we're being hunted." There was a long pause. Then the voice returned, softer. "Zex Chun is registered missing since the collector raids. Her energy signature was unique. She is not sick. She is a carrier of the Restoration Corps." Sarah blinked. "Restoration Corps?" Commander Chun continued. "It is a living energy source, our last hope to rebuild what the war destroyed. The collectors want it for control. Protect her until we arrive." The transmission cut off. Minjun set down the beacon slowly. "So she's not just a refugee," he murmured. "She's their future." Zex lowered her head. "I never wanted to be special. I just wanted to live." Jung-hoon knelt beside her. "Hey, kid, being special doesn't mean being alone. We'll stand with you till the end." That evening, the sky above the valley turned violet as two moons rose. In the distance, they saw streaks of blue light descending ships breaking atmosphere. "They're coming," Sarah said. "But whose side are they on?" The first ship landed with a soft boom, scattering dust. The ramp lowered, and armored figures stepped out, not collectors, but soldiers bearing the Free Fleet insignia. At their front walked Commander Chun, a tall Zarkonian with the same amber eyes as Zex. He removed his helmet slowly. "Zex Chun," he said, his voice trembling. "Child of Aras and Liara. You survived." Zex hesitated, then ran forward. Chun knelt and caught her in his arms. "You've grown strong," he whispered. "Your parents gave their lives to hide you." Min Jun watched quietly. For once, he felt no fear of the aliens' only relief. Chun looked at the humans. "You risked everything for one of ours. Few of your kind would. The fleet owes you a debt." Min Jun shook his head. "No debt. We didn't do it for payment." Chun smiled faintly. "Then perhaps you understand us better than most humans do." The soldiers helped load supplies and offered passage off-world. As they prepared to board, Zex turned to the brothers. "You'll come with us, won't you?" Jung-hoon glanced at his brother, then grinned. "Why not? Never thought I'd get to ride an alien ship." Sarah laughed softly. "Looks like you just enlisted in another kind of family." The ship's engines roared to life, lifting them into the sky. Below, Port Zara shimmered in the distance, small and fading. A memory of fear they'd finally left behind Dot as stars appeared through the clouds. Zex sat between the brothers, holding their hands. "When everyone turned away from me," she said, "you saw me as someone worth saving. I'll never forget that." Min Jun looked out at the stars. "Just promise us one thing," he said quietly. "When you're strong enough to change the galaxy, remember to be kind." Zex smiled, her eyes glowing with the soft light of the core. "I will." The ship rose higher, passing beyond the atmosphere, where darkness became a sea of silver. For the first time, Zex wasn't afraid of her light. It shone freely, dancing against the stars like a living heartbeat. Dot, and beside her, two human brothers watched with quiet pride, knowing that in saving one frightened alien child, they had helped spark something far greater, a new beginning for two species who finally learned that compassion, once given, can cross any world.